Juan had always considered his job at the bank a necessary evil. It wasn't the people that bothered him. They were fine, courteous, even kind. No, it was the sterile environment, the monotony, the humdrum rhythm of bank life that wore him down. Today, however, would be different. Today would be his last day at work, and he had a plan as he entered the bank that morning. A few of his colleagues looked up in surprise. Juan never engaged much with them, never showed up to office dinners or holiday gatherings. He was a solitary figure, his presence acknowledged but not deeply felt. But today there was something in his eyes, a gleam that caught their attention. "Good morning," he said, louder than usual. Heads turned. "Can everyone please step outside? I have a surprise for you." Murmurs of confusion spread among the employees. One, normally so reclusive, addressing them all with such urgency was unheard of. Curiosity and a sense of obligation moved them to comply, and soon the entire staff was gathered outside the bank. Juan stood before them, silent, staring at the assembled group. The employees exchanged uneasy glances, whispering among themselves. Then a red-headed woman, Carla, broke the silence. "Juan, are you okay?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. Without a word, Juan began to lift his left leg up to his right ear and his right leg to his left ear, his body contorting in an impossible manner. Gasps of shock and confusion erupted from the crowd as he began to float slightly above the ground. "What the?" someone muttered, eyes wide with disbelief. Hovering just a few inches above the ground, Juan looked at them, his eyes now filled with a disturbing intensity. Hovering just a few inches above the ground, Juan looked at them, his eyes now filled with a disturbing intensity. Greatest mystery is not how the towers fell, but why the questions surrounding their collapse remain unanswered, hidden behind a veil of secrecy and intrigue. Before anyone could react, a deafening explosion ripped through the air. Juan's body exploded, sending blood and guts showering over the horrified employees. Screams of terror filled the air as they scrambled to process the horrific scene. The shockwave knocked several people to the ground, and the smell of blood and burnt flesh hung heavy in the air. Those who weren't injured stared in disbelief, their minds struggling to comprehend the macabre spectacle that had just unfolded. In the immediate aftermath, panic set in. Employees screamed and ran in all directions, desperate to escape the nightmarish scene. Carla, however, stood frozen in place, shock rendering her immobile. Blood and guts covered her, but her eyes were fixed on a single piece of paper that fluttered down from the sky, landing gently on her head, and she reached up with a trembling hand and pulled the paper free. Her eyes scanning the single word printed on it: Thermite. Her mind raced as she tried to connect the dots, but she could only stand there, paralyzed by the gruesome reality around her, as chaos reigned and people fled in terror.